Phil the MMA dude, back with the Split Decision podcast, episode number 41, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. Happy to be back talking fights with you.
Awesome. So here's what's on tap for today, folks. We have got a lot to cover. First, we're going to do a quick UFC Copenhagen recap. That was a night of upsets, and we're going to get to that. A lot to discuss there. Then we're going to jump into a very quick recap of the 3 Bellator events from this weekend. After that, we're moving on to a Bellator 229 quick preview, and then we're jumping into the meat and potatoes, the UFC 243 preview with our picks. After that, finally, my favorite section, the listener questions. So, Fight Geek, let me start off the episode with this question for you. So, me and you both got the UFC Copenhagen main event wrong. Obviously, Jared Cannonier is the man. And let me just come out and say it, Fight Geek. I admit it, I was more cocky online about my pick for Jack, and I just got it wrong. I got it as wrong as you can get. What was your takeaway from Cannonier? I mean, he used to be a heavyweight. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, certainly a late bloomer, to say the least. Super impressed. The thing that really is going for him is he's maintained that super duper power from heavyweight down in middleweight. I think that's what we saw there. He landed a short uppercut that really rattled Hermanson, excuse me. He was very desperate to get to the fight to the ground. I think that Cannonier showed enough defense in that instance to keep the fight where he wanted, and then it was only a matter of time. I have not really seen a story where someone really peaks like this later in 2 weight classes below where they debuted. But, you know, I think he is the real deal at this point. So he's a big-time contender. That was probably his most impressive win to me because it was against someone in their prime who is a top contender as well. So, you know, a big player. Now, I would probably estimate this makes him top 4 or 5 in the division, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, he has to be. I mean,
I know we got lots of listener questions regarding this fight. So,
yeah.
Did you want to ask one, or do you just want to freestyle, or what?
I don't have them pulled up at the moment, so we're gonna hold off on what's next for Jared Cannonier because I know for a fact that's a listener question.
Yeah, we got a lot of that. So, yeah, I would just say Cannonier looked great, has a big fight coming up, did exactly what he needed to do as far as his defense, keeping the fight where he wanted it, landing the huge shot. Jack Hermanson, tough night for him, back to the drawing board a bit. Do you have any ideas? I know there's no questions here, but do you have any ideas who you'd like to see him fight next, Jack Hermanson?
You know, I've been thinking about that, and actually was listening to Juice on Fighting with Myself. Shout out Juice, and I think he pulled out a really good idea. I believe he was recommending Jack Hermanson versus Derek Brunson, and I gotta say, that sounds good.
Yeah, I think we recommend a fight for Brunson every episode, but I think that one does work.
We totally do.
So, all right, yeah, I like that fight. I think that makes a lot of sense. Brunson is somewhat unspectacularly moving up the ranks, and Jack is kind of sliding back at this point, so it'd be a good kind of meeting in the middle match.
Yep. The last thing that I quickly wanted to touch on, because it is a little comical, it's a little embarrassing for me, but I learned a great lesson here, because as you know, I won't lie, I was very confident that Jack was going to win this fight. I mean, we both picked him, but again, I was more obnoxious about it. I went on Twitter, I did a Judge Judy post, and I was like, if you think that Cannonier is going to win, you know, you're crazy with like the Judge Judy gif, and I think that really got people annoyed. So when Cannonier won, I got lit up like the 4th of July. And you know what?
Rightfully so.
I kind of deserved it. I deserved it. And I was like, okay, lesson learned. Because, woo, I got lit up for that one.
Well, as I always say, anything can happen. So that was just another instance. You know, we do make picks. People make picks. But, you know, we're just guessing.
Absolutely. Okay, really quick, the co-main event. Mark Madsen defeats Danilo Bellator, 1 minute and 12 seconds in the first round. It was very impressive from Madsen, but I mean, let's be real. I don't know what I saw because I don't really, Bellator, who cares?
Right. I think what you saw is just an uber athletic, talented. He's a prospect in MMA, even though he's older. He's like 35, right, or 34.
Yeah,
he's getting
older.
A late start. Martin Kampman is coaching him, so he has a lot going for him. So it will be really interesting to see where he goes next.
By the way, just looked it up. Madsen's 35.
Yeah, so he's a very late bloomer. I know he was in wrestling for a long time, but Kampman in his corner, his physicality, his natural physicality, I think that was on display pretty obviously. So yeah, be interested to see where he goes. Fight a top 25 lightweight.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Gilbert Burns defeats Gunny Nelson via unanimous decision. And I forget, you had Gilbert?
There's so much going on in this fight. Gunnar
did you have
Nelson,
Gilbert,
what is
or
happening?
I had Gilbert. Which one was it? I always forget.
Yeah, I went to the well one too many times with Gunny Nelson.
I'm just saying that because most of my card was garbage, so I have to take my little...
that was my worst. I think I was 4-9 on my picks.
I'm pretty sure it was long time. It was both of our worst cards of the podcast history, for sure.
Maybe of the year, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Gunnar Nelson, how far away are we from seeing him in Bellator?
I think we're, not... I think it's he's getting his walking papers.
Now that the Conor rub is not there, and the fact that he just is not winning fights, it's interesting. You want to talk about a hot prospect at one time. They used to talk him up like he was a future champion, and he has really hit a tough spot. Do you have any thoughts on why he may be struggling so bad?
I think, I honestly think that it's a lot his mindset. I know that people say he's very calm and very composed. I agree, but the problem is, you want to balance that. You don't want to be so calm and composed that, you look like you're on a bunch of sleeping pills.
And I'm not positive, but I think I heard he's never won a UFC fight via strikes.
I think that might be right. I don't know if that could be right.
So,
is that true? Ooh, let me look that up.
I just think I heard it in passing. I don't know. I can't off the top of my head remember him knocking someone out. I do know he is a pretty good technical striker, but it seems like he has that karate style where he's so laid back, he just doesn't get a lot of volume off.
Yeah, I don't know what he just doesn't show any urgency. Do you know what I mean? There's no urgency. And by the way, I just looked it up, and you're absolutely right. Wow, never ever gotten a KO or TKO in the UFC. Never.
So, I don't know. He seems like he could be getting the Elias Theodoro treatment here pretty soon.
Yeah, and Elias lost one fight. Gunny's what? I think he's won 2 of his last 6.
All right, well let's give Gilbert Burns a little shine here. He's obviously ascending. He's looking a lot better at 170. I think this is his 3rd win in a row, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes. 3rd
so
or 4th?
Next?
3rd.
3rd. So what's next for Gilbert Burns?
Yeah.
I think he just raised his hand on a short notice fight too on Twitter. I saw it today. I can't remember who that was with, but.
What about the? I'm not aware. I didn't see that. I didn't see the Twitter call out. What about the winner of Wonder Boy Vicente Luque?
That makes a lot of sense.
I just threw that out there, but I feel like that could be fun, right?
Yeah, for sure. Or, he's kind of past the Mike Perrys of that division. The Bilal Muhammad's.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be looking for a top 15 guy for sure.
Yep. Absolutely agree. Okay.
So let's keep it moving to the Khalil Roundtree Ian Cutelaba fight. What'd you think of this?
Another one I got totally wrong.
Yeah, for me this was super hard to pick. I like both guys. I know that Roundtree Jr. has a hard time putting together good performances. He's kind of up and down. Cutelaba is just like a Hulk smash fighter. So I took a flyer on Roundtree. I felt horrible about it immediately once the fight started, obviously.
Oh, well, of course.
But, I think that was a very, very tough fight to pick, and obviously you saw what happened. Bad performance by Roundtree, great performance by Cutelaba. Got any thoughts on who he fights next?
Light heavyweight is so interesting, but Nikita
Is he?
Krylov?
Don't you think Kutulaba's going under the radar a bit in that division? We never mention him, yet he is very dangerous.
Oh, 100%. Okay, what about Nikita Krylov? Does he have a fight?
Isn't Nikita Krylov coming off like 2 losses in a row?
Yeah, but he also just went up in the rankings to 14 for no reason.
I don't think Kutulaba's going to want a guy on a 2-fight losing streak, but who knows? Maybe he's just looking for a name.
I mean, he's not, but Kutulaba's not ranked. Krylov's 14.
I guess that's a pretty good matchup. I guess I like both guys, so I wouldn't want to see them fight, but yeah, I think that probably makes some sense.
Yeah. Okay, next fight, and wow, this one was, we got to talk about this. Light heavyweight, OSP defeats McCall Alexeychuk?
Take your word for that one.
Oh, man.
I can't remember. Did I call second-round submission last week on the show? Do you know?
I know we both picked OSP. You may have called second round.
It was second or third. I can't remember. I should go back and check it out because I want to gloat, but I just am not 100% sure. But I definitely called submission, and I think I was online talking with a couple guys. Quinn, maybe. Quinn, what's up?
Quinn.
They were, and I kept saying that OSP is very tricky. You know, yeah, his back was against the wall. He needed a big performance. He honestly didn't look great, which is kind of status quo for OSP. He doesn't always look great in there.
I was convinced he was getting finished.
He was getting finished until he got the fight in that strange situation that he capitalizes on so well. And is there a petition to change that choke to the Von Prue choke?
Can I just say it has to happen? And I know a lot of people, look, there's all kinds of serious opinions. You know, no, you can't do that. Von Flu's the guy who made it up. Blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Just make it the Von Prue choke and let your hair down and have some fun, guys. Okay?
Right. I mean, I think OSP has proven that he's the best practitioner of that choke by far.
Thank you. 100%.
Right. I mean, the guy has 4 of them in competition. There's 5 that have ever happened.
Right, and I was going to say, I would also understand the argument against it if, say, it was a very popular submission, right?
Right, it's not a rear naked choke.
Right, exactly, exactly. So I think it should be changed. It definitely won't be, but that's okay. And then, okay, next fight, the last fight on the main card. This was actually really good. Nicholas Dalby defeating Cowboy Oliveira via unanimous decision in a tough one. I thought it was actually a great fight. And I believe Dalby called out Mike Perry afterwards, and I love it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. As long as Mike is healed. I mean, we got to remember that dude's nose was over by his ear not too long ago. So
good point.
I mean, I wanted to see him take a very long time off. You know, he hasn't. I mean, I'm sure he hasn't been in the gym working on his defense while he's healing that nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Mike Perry needs to readjust. Now, is that a winnable fight versus Dalby? Yeah, I think it is a winnable fight. But Perry is a young guy. He needs to really pump the brakes there, in my opinion. Come back maybe next summer.
Oh, you say that long, huh?
Well, you got to let that – I mean, think about the kind of problems Rory McDonald had with that bad broken nose after Robbie Lawler. It basically cost him the Wonder Boy fight in a point fight because his nose was bothering him. We've seen that nose be busted – many times, even I think into Bellator, his first or second fight, he was having a couple problems with, you know, breaking the nose, a healing, and all of that. So your nose is right there on a platter in MMA. So you want to make sure that you let that heal as much as possible, especially for a guy. Rory McDonald's a very technical defensive fighter sometimes. He can protect that nose. Mike Perry cannot protect that nose at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said there.
Yes.
So, yeah, I agree.
But it'd be fun, but I like Mike Perry. I want him to heal that nose and come back as Mike Perry and not a guy who gets his nose broken every first round.
Right. I think that's well said. So, okay, moving on. Obviously, I do not want to cover all the prelims. We'll just touch on the ones that we think are notable. But I definitely think that John Phillips' knockout of Alan Amadovsky 17 seconds into the first round was awesome. And it was actually awesome from both fighters because they just threw.
Right. So that had to be knockout of the night, right?
Oh, yeah. I would absolutely. Fight of the night, no bonus awarded. Very Dana. Performance of the night, Jared Cannonier, OSP, John Phillips, and Jack Shore. Okay, those make sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. Other notable, Macy Chasson losing. Kind of a crossroads type fight where she was stepping up in competition. She's still very green. She only has 5 fights. Lena Landsberg kind of won the way she was, a very grinded out, up against the cage, was not a very exciting fight at all. But she did show that she's a very experienced, tough veteran. Obviously, the crowd and momentum was on her side a tad bit, so I think that does help fighters. So not the worst loss in the world for Macy, but definitely like a growing experience, I would say.
Yeah, bantamweight's had some rough luck lately. Just I think of Macy losing this weekend, but then Aspen Ladd, obviously, that was a little bit longer ago. But I just feel like the up and coming bantamweights keep losing to sort of the older, wily vets that definitely don't have the same level of marketing potential. So that's been the small bummer for me with women's bantamweight is just all the young up-and-comers keep losing.
Yeah, man, that's the one thing the UFC can't do is pick the winners. So
yeah, exactly. Definitely wanted to highlight my boy, the Bone Crusher, Mark
your
Diakite.
boy, huh?
Hey, you know that from last episode.
No, of course. I gave you hell about.
I know you did. You were like,
Casey over Lando.
Yep.
Very disappointed in Lando's performance.
Oh, come on! Don't disrespect the Bone Crusher.
No, Diakite actually looked very good. Obviously, super physically talented. Looked to be in the best shape I'd actually seen him in the UFC. Looked like he's filling out muscularly. Had a great game plan, kept the fight where he wanted it, landed the better shots. He clearly won that fight. Lando just needs to work on his defense, man. Again, I think that was my concern going in. I may have been biased because I'm a big fan ever since that early Tony Ferguson fight. But no, Diakite looked great.
Yep. And then last question for you, and then we'll move on. Bantamweight, Jack Shore obviously defeating Nolan Hernandez. 2 minutes and 51 seconds into the third round via rear naked choke. Do you think, let me just ask you this yes or no question, does Jack Shore deserve a ranked bantamweight opponent or too soon?
You got that bantamweight list pulled up?
You know I do, son. You know I do.
So tell me who 13 through 15 is. I'll tell you if he deserves
13,
one.
Song Yadong. 14, Uriah Faber. 15, Thomas Almeida.
Ooh, him versus Thomas Almeida. Sign me up.
Yep. That does sound good, doesn't it?
Yep. A big crossroads fight. Thomas Almeida can come back and try and beat a guy who has some momentum. Shore can have a chance to beat a guy with a name who had a bunch of potential at one time. So, yeah, that sounds good.
Absolutely.
How is Almeida number 15, though? It makes no sense. When was the last time that guy fought? 2017?
I mean, Conor McGregor is... Do we really want to look where Conor McGregor's ranked at lightweight?
We all understand the Conor McGregor effect.
McGregor's ranked 3, the number 3 contender at lightweight. He hasn't fought. It's a joke.
Yes. So, yeah, I think we'll go with Thomas Almeida. Let's keep it moving. We got a lot to get into.
All right.
So,
okay,
Bellator breakdowns. Let's be quick here. Just call out some highlights.
Well, hang on. Wait. Really fast.
Sorry.
Bellator Dublin and Bellator 227 happened on Friday, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the absolute circus disaster scheduling that it was. No one on Twitter knew how to get the fights live.
It was a mess. I just wish they would have had, all those, if they would have got all those fighters in one area and had one card, it would have been a very good card. But the fact that they made the Bellator 227 completely irrelevant by announcing the results to the Henderson fight before it happened. You were joking that Benson Henderson would have a boring split or unanimous decision, I believe. Then you see it come up on Twitter that he won a decision. There's literally no reason to watch. No intrigue whatsoever.
You couldn't even pay me after I saw the result. If someone said, "Hey Phil, here's $20, watch this Henderson fight," I'd be like, I'd make an excuse. Okay,
I felt obligated. I went and watched it.
No, I'm lying, of course. Of course I saw it. But I mean, listen, am I glad I saw it? No, I'm not.
So let's skip that because I feel like that fight's pretty irrelevant. Let's just get to what's important. So James Gallagher versus the local gym owner via 17-second submission, was it?
Yeah. It was a...
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, did you see me on Twitter?
Of course. I'm going to give you 30 seconds
Okay, well, look, when I was watching the fight, the submission in particular, it just didn't feel totally right in the moment. Having said that, I couldn't see the angle right.
All he had to get was the jugular on the left side, and it looked like he could have easily had that pinched.
No, he did not have that choked completely in. No way. I saw too many pictures.
You don't have to have a choke completely in to be suffocated.
Oh, I know. Oh, no, I understand. Yeah. But the back of his neck was totally free. So he was in pain.
But you don't need the back of your neck to breathe. You need the front of your neck.
I understand. Thank you. I take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you. No. But what I'm saying is what it looked like to me was that choke was painful. Not necessarily enough of an oxygen deprivation to have him lose consciousness. I think he tapped because he just wanted that check and he wanted to go home.
Yeah, I think I more or less agree with you. I think he was just panicked and obviously not that skilled in submission defense.
Yeah, but how can you do that? You've got the opportunity of a lifetime against Gallagher. You got to take a nap.
I mean, for as much crap as we give Gallagher, he is talented. So I think there was a clear talent discrepancy there. Maybe the guy's confidence just was drained because of the situation he was in 10 seconds into the fight. So it is what it is. Yeah. I'd like to see Gallagher fight someone who matters with a skill set that we can measure and know. I don't know. Until he does that, he's only fought one fighter that I've ever heard of, and that's the guy who dotted in between the eyes with a leg kick or with a high kick.
Ricky Bendeas.
Exactly. So I mean, until he fights someone else who we respect their skill set and beats them or does well against them, I think there's still a ton of questions.
And by the way, for the record, you're not going to see Gallagher fighting top competition anytime soon because Scott Coker specifically knows that James isn't very good. He knows he overpaid, and look, he's got Dublin events he's got European events to headline for years to come.
What if he was in the UFC? Where would he be?
I don't have anything nice to say about that. Are you sure you want me to answer that question?
No, all right, let's keep it moving.
He would not be ranked. Do you think he would be ranked?
Absolutely not. But let's move on to Peter Quelly. His comeback?
Gallagher would never be ranked in a million years in the UFC. He's garbage. Sorry. Okay. Peter Quelly.
I think it's Quelly. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he had a great performance against Ryan Scope, winning via TKO punches, 307.
Well, was it a great performance or was it just a great comeback? Because he was getting beat on, wasn't he?
He came back. Honestly, dude, there were so many fights this weekend. I would be a liar.
It's so hard to digest.
I know.
Right?
I'm still digesting it all, but I remember the knockout. I certainly remember the knockout.
I remember Scope dominating, and then almost a la Conor versus Mendez, they get back to the feet, and Scope just withered. And it was immediately. So he must have really, went all out to finish him while Quelly was on the ground and had nothing left. It was a little bizarre looking how he just kind of collapsed and gave in after being in so much control of most of the fight. But big win for Quelly, obviously a name. He's got some ties to some bigger names, so people are familiar with him. But great performance. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, really quick. Michael Venom Page.
Michael Venom Page.
Here, I got a question for you. So, Michael Venom Page defeats Richard Keeley via flying knee in the first round, 2 minutes and 47 2 minutes 47 seconds in the first round. He was doing a lot of Anderson Silva clowning stuff during the fight, and he got a warning from Dan Miragliotta very shortly before
he got the knockout. But I don't like saying Anderson Silva stuff because when Anderson Silva was doing that stuff, it was versus Forrest Griffin,
Correct.
UFC light heavyweight champion of the world.
Correct.
It was versus Stephen Bonner,
it was against
UFC
Chris
Hall
Weidman.
of Famer. It's against,
Weidman.
Chris Lieben, who's one of the toughest guys to ever step in the cage. Rich Franklin, who's a Hall of Famer and champion. So it's a big, it's not cool to clown, guys who are, you don't think that, I don't get that persona. I don't understand it at all, because he's not a champion. He's only faced one champion and he put him to sleep.
He's not a champion, bro. He ain't even a semifinalist.
No, I'm just meaning like in terms of Anderson Silva. Don't ever compare him to Anderson Silva.
I'm just saying his clownery reminded me of it.
No, I understand. Silva played around, but Silva was fighting the greatest fighters of all time. So if he decided to take those risks in his own hands, that's a different thing than actually being so comfortable in there versus a fighter that's not on your level, that you're beating up like the JV squad and then bragging about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you have a problem with Murgliata taking a point? And I believe he did take a point.
Yeah, he did take a point. A part of me is okay with it, but then again, I don't know, is like sportsmanlike conduct something that they cover beforehand? I've never even heard. It seems like a referee should be able to take a point for unsportsmanlike conduct, but that seems like a very arbitrary thing to call. Is there a list of unsportsmanlike conduct? Is that just based on what your opinion of unsportsmanlike conduct is? Because I don't think showboating should have points taken away, but if you spit on another fighter, I think you could have a point taken away. So, you know what I mean?
It's so disrespectful. I think there's no place for it in the sport. But you bring up a good point with Anderson Silva. Maybe there is a point in the sport. If you're at that high of a level, that's okay. But if you're MVP...
Well, you're doing it against guys who can defend themselves.
Right. If you're MVP and you're doing it against the guy from the 7-Eleven that they said, hey, we're going to pay you $75 tonight to get your ass whooped by MVP, that's not cool. So in my opinion, I take Dan Murgliata's side completely, and I think MVP is a tool and a clown who will get shadow realmed the second he faces the big boys, as we've seen.
I obviously think MVP has a lot of very unique talents. Obviously, his distance control, he's very accurate. Obviously,
how'd the distance control work out with Douglas Lima?
Well, I think, again, that's the problem with having a slow build and fighting cans your whole career, is that you're not battle tested. So the first time he's ever been tested was what, his 15th fight, 16th fight versus Lima?
Yep.
And then the first thing he shows us is that he takes a fight versus a guy with 4 career fights and then completely just showboats and acts classless. I get it. It's an exciting knockout, flying knee. I don't want to sit here and bury the guy too much. I just really think it's lame,
It was
prove it, prove it versus somebody, anybody. Again, nobody in the MMA community had heard of Richard Keeley ever before. Nobody.
Well, it's hard to be heard of when you're not a real fighter. This guy was probably picked up off the sidewalk.
Well, yeah, no, he's fought some Bellator.
I know, I'm just being a jerk, but yeah. You know what I mean.
I know, I'm just surprised that. Yeah, obviously, MVP looked great in there against him, but what does that mean?
Right, exactly. Okay, let's move it along. There's, again, so much. The fact that Bellator is now doing 4 cards in 2 weeks, because we've got Bellator 229 coming up this week, is so comically stupid. It's as if they've never run a business. Seriously, what is Viacom thinking?
Way too many masters to serve. I think that's very clear.
Yeah. Anyways, all right.
All right, the featherweight tournament, Bellator 228. The only thing they did right this weekend. What were your thoughts?
I was really upset that Shootout at the OK Corrales lost.
Hey, you still found a way to say his name, so it's
did you notice that? I made sure to do that. I'm happy that Daniel Vaicho got a win.
Yep. I think AJ McKee is obviously the star of that portion of the first round, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. With that TKO, 8 seconds of round 1.
Versus a very tough, tested veteran. So I think that showed something from AJ McKee we hadn't seen before, which is serious one-shot power.
100%. I had never seen that from him.
Right. So that's another wrinkle people will have to prepare for, and another piece to the puzzle. I think I was the one that was saying he's kind of like the Bellator's version of John Jones, the way they're kind of grooming him and growing him, and he kind of made me look good with showing a new wrinkle this week.
Yep, totally agree. Patricio Pitbull defeats Juan Archuleta via unanimous decision. Look, Pitbull's amazing. We'll get to that.
Amazing.
There's a listener question though. There is a listener question about how far he would get in the UFC, and it's really fun. So I think we should wait for that. But you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I thought Juan Archuleta. I mean, what happened? He looked horrible.
Well, it's the first time he's ever fought a truly elite fighter in his life, and he got completely nullified. He had no answers.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
he
like
was hesitant.
Yeah.
He on the feet, he wanted no parts of the power that Pitbull has. Pitbull's a very powerful striker. He anchors his feet into the middle of the ring and just waits for you to come to him.
Mm-hmm.
I love his mentality. Pitbull has not only is Pitbull extremely skilled, he's tougher than nails, and he has a fighter's mentality. That is an unbelievable combination to have as a champion, a champ. I really wasn't real high on the Pitbull brothers as recently as like 3 or 4 years ago, but they have really grown on me. You see he knocks out Michael Chandler to get the second belt. Then he comes back. He's in the featherweight tournament. He not even a chance of a stumble in that match. He was in control start to finish. The only reason he had a cut on his eye is because of a clash of heads. Otherwise, he would have got out of there virtually without any marks.
Yep.
It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but I do believe that he completely outclassed Juan Archuleta and just basically kept it in a comfortable range and won that fight easily. So,
yep, absolutely.
Juan Archuleta, I don't think it's like a horrible loss for Juan Archuleta because it is the Pitbull. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get submitted. He did go 5 rounds with the champ of Bellator, which I think will suit him well. He's going to learn more in this 5 rounds versus Pitbull than 12 of the wins on his win streak. So this will be good for Juan Archuleta.
Totally agree. Hopefully he can really use this as a big learning lesson because he really did look lost out there. And frankly, I was surprised. I was expecting a much more competitive fight.
You got to give Pitbull some credit for that because he made him uncomfortable and took him completely out of what he wanted to do.
Hey, I watched Pitbull get that second belt against Michael Chandler live, remember?
Well, sometimes people think if you don't knock someone out that you didn't do well, or if it's a 5-round decision that you weren't in control and had a great fight. That was a great fight from Pitbull.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, he looked fantastic.
Exactly.
Bringing me to the main event, where the winner did not look fantastic at all, in my opinion. Gegard Mousasi defeats Lyoto Machida by split decision, and boy, I'm like George St. Pierre. I was not impressed with your performance. Oh, geez. I'll never do that again.
It was pretty lackluster performance on both sides. Just not a whole lot to really take away from that fight. I think they were, respecting each other quite a bit.
Yeah.
Lyoto's a low-volume striker who's defensive anyways, so, it's hard to engage him in a big action fight unless he's going to completely outclass someone on the feet like Chael Sonnen. Lyoto Machida's not all that exciting.
He's had exciting knockouts in the last few years.
He's exciting in his knockouts, but what I'm saying is like there's a lot of fights in his career where he's very defensive and he stays away, and not a lot happens. He has as many of those as he has crane kick knockouts.
True.
So he's very hot and cold that way, and I think you kind of see when he's in there and he's very comfortable, he'll move forward and try stuff. When he's in there versus someone like Gegard Mousasi, he's not going to try that much stuff, and you're going to get more of a stalemate type match.
Yup. I completely agree. And then, so obviously now Mousasi is getting his rematch.
Did you hear Mousasi's slandering Lovato Jr.?
Yeah. Look, it was hilarious. I enjoyed it, but I kept thinking to myself, your performance outside of the cage is significantly better than your performance inside of it.
True, but what I'm saying
is he a stand-up comedian or like a fighter? Because he did great as a stand-up.
Yeah, his unintentional comedy is amazing.
Yeah, and he was definitely, and to his credit, he was trying to be funny a little bit. I mean,
Right, but I do believe he believes both of those guys are cheaters. I think he believes that wholeheartedly.
oh yeah.
He's not just making that up. I don't believe Mousasi would say that unless he firmly believed it.
Right. No, I totally agree.
Which that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like, it is Bellator, still kind of the Wild West when it comes to that kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's just interesting. But okay, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, let's keep it moving for sure. I want to be this is going to be our fastest preview ever. Bellator 229. That's right, folks. There's another Bellator card this weekend. That's going to be the fourth one in 2 weeks. I'm not lying, okay? It's Andrei Koreshkov versus Lorenz Larkin. Who you got in the main event?
I am going to take Andrei Koreshkov. Big fan. He's only been beaten by the truly elite. I think this will be a very fun striking match. Both guys are very creative, explosive. Both can finish. But I just think Koreshkov's a little bit better at this point. So I'm going to take Koreshkov via second round stoppage.
Darn it. Okay. I got
let me go first then. No, I'm just kidding.
I got Koreshkov as well, and I'm gonna go. Look, Lorenz Larkin is a very good fighter. We all know what he did in the UFC. We all know what he's capable of. But the truth is he just hasn't been cutting it at Bellator. I don't know what's been going on.
He's got the best fade and hair designs in MMA though, bar none.
That's true. But I don't know how much that will help him in this matchup. And so I'm gonna say Andre via strikes, TKO finish in the end of the first round.
Okay, excellent. So moving on to the co-main, it's pretty good. Call it out.
All right. We got Saad Awad versus Goti Yamauchi.
Yep, Saad Awad, who I believe trains with Juan Archuleta, trains with TJ Dillashaw, that camp.
That whole sketchy little camp.
Whatever, you loved Juan Archuleta last week. Is he on the shit list now?
I mean, he lost and he's
Saad Awad actually looked very good in his last fight. Was it Benson Henderson? He lost kind of a controversial decision to, I believe.
Yeah.
But he looked really good actually, physically, and made some improvements. But with that being said, Goiti Yamaguchi is very tricky, and I'm going to take Yamaguchi via second round submission.
I believe it's Yamauchi, by the way.
If you say so.
But or you know what? The Bellator site, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Yamaguchi, frankly.
Is there a G there?
It says Yamauchi.
You're right. Goiti Yamauchi.
Yep. So I got him. I got Goiti. I think it's Yamauchi. I don't know. I have no idea, guys. I don't know. But I've got Yamauchi winning by unanimous decision. Nothing exciting, but I think he's going to win.
I'm not going to break down the next fight, but Joe Schilling's coming back, fighting a guy who's 8-2. Joe's been struggling, but I do expect Joe Schilling to get the win here. I think he had his best MMA performance in his last fight. Was as well-rounded as we'd seen him. Expect him to, be even better now. He's been training with Cowboy Cerrone for a while now. He's been in Cowboy Cerrone's corner for at least the last 3 fights. So eventually this MMA thing's going to start rubbing off on him. I expect him to get another win here. What's the guy's name? Something Brown?
His opponent is Tony Johnson, 8-2.
Oh, Tony Johnson, excuse me. Sorry.
Now, I'm actually glad you brought up this fight because I was about to pounce on Bellator for this. I know Joe Schilling's background. I'm aware. I want you to tell me, that aside, why I should possibly care about watching a fighter who is 4-5 on a main card.
Well, because he's a kickboxer and he's transitioning over. He has a couple tough losses, but I think if you look at his last fight, he showed his best groundwork we've seen in his MMA career, best gas tank we've seen. Obviously, he's a good striker. Not only that, in some of his losses, I think he lost via spinning back fist to Cato, right?
Sounds right.
And then he had a rematch with Cato, I believe, in kickboxing, which was another barn burner. So, I mean, he's an exciting fighter, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
Is that a good enough case for it?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a good argument. Let me just put it this way. Can you imagine just every time people say, and I used to believe this, I used to, say Bellator is going to be right up neck and neck with the UFC in a few years. Can you imagine a fighter that's 4-5 being on a main card of a UFC? Can you imagine?
Maybe 5-4.
Actually, I guess Artem did headline with Cub Swanson. He headlined an event.
12-13 or something like that.
Yeah, so. But Artem's the man.
Question it.
There
are certain situations.
Okay, fair. All right, moving on, guys, to the really, really fun part of the podcast here. These last two segments are going to be fun. The UFC 243 preview and picks, and then the listener questions. First, let's dive into UFC 243. We have Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya. And Fight Geek, I'm going to be honest, man, honestly, this is one of the hardest title fights I feel I've ever had to call.
Agreed. I mean, you could paint a million different scenarios in this one. You can see a lot of different things happening. With that being said, you want me to jump into it or what?
Go first. Let's go.
I mean, it's obviously Tuesday. The week is young, but I've been going back and forth so much on this. There's so many X factors, especially with the fact that Robert Whittaker has been out for so long. It's hard to give him the benefit of the doubt when you haven't seen him in so long. But I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If Kelvin Gastelum was able to put Israel Adesanya in the uncomfortable situations he was as a former 170-pounder and a guy who, obviously Kelvin's very talented, but I think Robert is going to bring more physical gifts to the table as well as the technical ability, and I think that Robert, among any champions in the world today, has shown that he has the mettle to withstand hell. We've seen that twice in the Yoel Romero fight. Now, we saw Izzy go through hell with Kelvin, so there's a real chance that this could be just a drag-him-out war because both guys have such a backbone. But I truly believe that if Israel Adesanya gets hit as often by Robert Whittaker as he did by Kelvin Gastelum, that he will not be around for 5 rounds. And with that being said, I'm taking Robert Whittaker reluctantly via stoppage in the 4th round.
Woo! I love it. All right, I love it. Okay, here I go.
But Israel Adesanya could knock him. I mean, probably anything could happen.
Don't walk it back. You just made your call.
But that's what I'm rolling with. Fine,
okay.
Go.
All right, love it. So first and foremost, I'm going to say this. Robert Whittaker is one of my absolute favorite fighters. Anyone who follows me knows that. And, I don't really like Izzy Adesanya. I think he's kind of a weirdo. He's saying, all this, pre-cum tweets. He says that Robert looks like a drug addict. He said all kinds of sketchy stuff. He's a weirdo.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his trash talk at all.
No, I'm just not a big fan of him, and I am a big fan of Robert. So that's what has made my decision so excruciating, because I have Israel Adesanya becoming the new champion. Ready? Unanimous decision.
Wow, unanimous decision, huh? Here's
why. Israel has improved fight over fight exponentially. And you mentioned how Whittaker's willing to go through hell. I saw a fight with Kelvin Gastelum where Israel was taken into the fire. And he went even deeper than Kelvin. And he's going to be better. He's got a tremendous reach advantage. I think he's going to be looser. I think he's going to be improved again. He improves every fight tenfold. And I think that Whittaker's rust is just going to be a little too much in a highly competitive fight.
When you say looser, though, I mean, I'd say Robert Whittaker is one of the loosest champions there is. It's not like he ever comes across as, tense or nervous or stressed.
And you're right. You know what? If there's any fight where he'll come off a little stressed, it's going to be this one in front of his home crowd. after he hasn't fought for a year, after
To
what
me,
happened
it
to
seems like
234.
right now on the lead up, Israel Adesanya is the one that's stressed. He's trying to force, a narrative. He's trying to force the trash talk. He's the one who's trying to create friction. And this whole time, Robert Whittaker's just sitting back in the cut, smiling, laughing, goofing around, not taking it too seriously. So I kind of see that the opposite way.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think this fight is as much of a coin flip as
Who's trying to play mind games?
Israel, of course, but that doesn't always decide the winner.
No, I understand, but what I'm coming at from like a mentality standpoint. Who is trying to get in who? So the fight has already begun in essence because Israel's been trying to get at Robert and get an emotional reaction from Robert for a while now. Robert just kind of casually giggles him off and, acts like he's not important. So I would say in that instance, Robert actually has the upper hand because he just keeps brushing Israel off, and then Izzy doubles down with an even dumber comment and an even dumber comment and keeps trying to just dig, and none of it has gotten to Whittaker at all, in my opinion.
I completely agree. Again, look, this fight is an excruciating choice. Right. But I'm sticking with it, okay? And new.
All right.
And I hope
I can't wait to watch it because I have a feeling they're both going to just inflict a lot of damage.
And last thing, by the way, people, if you think that you feel very, very confident about one of these two fighters winning and you're going to put a lot of money on it, don't do that. You're wrong. You're wrong. I promise. You're actually wrong. For real. No, but for real, you're wrong. This fight's like a coin flip, so you're wrong. Keep your money. Don't put money on this.
All right. Co-main event. Great fight. Al Iaquinta versus Dan the Hangman Hooker.
All right.
Who do you got?
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Wow. And another excruciatingly hard call.
So tough.
And I was leaning Al for so long, and I think Hooker takes it. Unanimous decision. I think that Hooker means it when he says, you're going to have to kill me here to beat me. And the truth is, I think that Al is gotten, I do think his body has gotten a little beaten up. Hasn't he had some serious knee problems?
Yeah, he's had knee stuff. I think, so go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm taking two risky picks. I'm going Israel and Hooker, and I got Hooker by unanimous decision.
Okay. Well, interesting. I really went back and looked at the Cowboy Cerrone versus Al fight. I really thought Al would be able to take Cowboy out with his toughness, his aggressiveness moving forward, but Al just keeps showing a very straightforward striking attack. His legs don't leave a lot to be desired. So he just ends up in a very 1-2 striking match. And I think there's enough similarities between Dan Hooker and Cowboy Cerrone with the versatility of strikes, the kicks, the knees, the elbows. And I think over time, those are going to break down Al, who doesn't have as many tools, although he does have the toughness. I'm going to take Dan Hooker via split decision over Al.
Nice. Nice. All right. All right. I do not want to touch on too many of these, but Tai Tuivasa, we can touch on that one. Heavyweight. Yeah. Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Spivak. Who you got? Spivak?
Never heard of Spivak. Have heard of Tai Tuivasa. Had a little mixed results. He's fought high-level elite heavyweights.
Yep.
Had a couple bad decisions, but he's tougher than nails. He's young. He's hard-headed. He's certainly not going to get stopped. So I'm assuming this is a big showcase fight for Tai Tuivasa.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take Tai versus first round KO.
Totally agree. I actually don't think it's going to be a did you say first round KO?
Yes, I think he'll come out and just get through him. Then a shoey on spot.
All right. I was actually going to say third, but no, I don't believe that. Second round stoppage. Tai Tuivasa is going to win.
But is the shoey a foregone conclusion?
Of course.
If
we don't
there
even
was a prop bet on 5 shoeys from the cage to the locker room after the fight, what's the over-under there?
Oh, he ain't doing more than 3.
All right.
To the locker room, he'll throw up. After that kind of exertion.
First round knockout. All right, let's call out the next one.
All right. You want to go into Diego Lima's fight
Sure, Diego Lima. Who's he fighting?
versus Luke Jumeau. Luke Jumeau.
Gonna take
UFC
Diego
243
Lima there.
243 is a top-heavy card, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to call out some other ones that I feel pretty confident
I got
in.
Lima too, by the way. I got Lima too.
Okay, I got Lima, Jake Matthews. Obviously, Megan Anderson is one worth calling out. I think this is set up to be a big showcase fight for her in Australia. So if she can't win this fight, she's going to be in real trouble. She's going to end up in Bellator chasing that Cyborg fight that she wanted all along.
I was going to say, look out for Dos Santos as a live dog because, I don't know too much about Dos Santos. I just have that much disrespect for Megan Anderson.
Megan.
I said Megan. I said her stupid pronunciation.
Another one that I was interested in is Khalid Taha. He had a good performance his last time out. Action fighter. It was a lot of fun. So he's opening up the card. Definitely one to watch, and I think he'll win.
He'll beat Silva. I agree. All right. We ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. We'll be right back, and then listener questions. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast episode number 41, and it is time for my favorite section. It is time for Listener Questions!
Get that trademarked.
All right. And we have got a lot of questions to get to, and we got to get to them all because, guys, Fight Geek is being a huge wimp, and he's taking a vacation next week with his wife. Ooh. So we will not be having an episode next week, folks. That's right. We've been doing it straight for 12 weeks. We will be off next week. We will be back the week after for episode 42. We're going to miss you guys so much, but we got to make sure that we get to all these listener questions, Fight Geek, to give them something because we're missing next week.
Yeah, sorry, guys. The wife is forcing me out of town. I was going to record on vacation, but I was told that's not going to be happening.
No one wants
so we're
your
going to take a week off, and we'll talk to you guys again. Well, we're looping back around on the 15th, just so you don't miss us.
The 15th, guys. You heard it here. Okay, so I'm going to start just kind of going down in order because we've been missing people, and so I want to make sure we don't. All right, this is from the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Asoon. If you don't follow Jim, I tell you to follow him every single episode, guys. So just follow him, okay? Don't ask any more questions. Just follow Jim Asoon. Jim says, who's next to leave Jackson Wink? #AskSplitPod.
Such a great question, especially after all the drama.
And, okay, so before you answer, I was just going to say this. This was my honest to gosh first thought when I saw the question. I said, well, wait a second. I got to think about who's left. Because so many big fighters are leaving that I actually have to take the... I think
there's only 4 big name fighters there now,
Jones,
right? It's John,
Michelle,
Holly,
Watterson.
Michelle, and Diego. Or no,
Diego left.
So it's John, Holly, Michelle. Who else is the elite fighters?
Is that really it now?
Well, they had Mir for a while. They had Overeem for a while. They had
Cowboy, of course.
Yeah, Cowboy in the past. They obviously had Diego. So they used to have quite a bit more. But right now, I don't even know who their actual stable is. So if it's just those 3, I think the most likely would be Michelle Watterson.
Yeah, because we all know that Jones and Holly are sleeping together. Wait, what? No. Oh, whoop, did I just say that on air? Oops.
You're out of your mind. So do you agree with me, Watterson, if it would be anyone?
Yeah, I mean, Jones and Holly are sleeping together. So, whoop.
Or maybe we could just say Jackson will leave.
Yeah, seriously. right? Because it's
I mean,
it's always
it's his name getting dragged through the mud at Mike Winklejohn's expense. If you're following along.
Oh, I am. Oh, I am.
So,
It's I
what's
mean, it's like a
crazy is
reality
that
show.
that was the number one gym in the world at one point. It had John Jones, Rashad Evans, GSP. I mean, so that was the spot at one time. So it just sucks. Times change, things change. They
People
are
change.
certainly
People
they've
change.
they've certainly seen better days. Let's put it that way.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, this is from, I've got one really fast from Jalen Ware. Jalen Ware, what up? At Strive to Be Great. Is Al versus Hooker the Diaz versus Masvidal fight without the hype and being overlooked? To me, it could have the same classic feel to it without the hype of the BMF title. Hashtag AskSplitPod. Thank you for using the hashtag, Jalen. What do you think, Fight Geek?
I do not see any symmetry between these two fights. Is it a great fight? Yeah, it's a great fight, but I don't think either of the characters are even in the same stratosphere of charisma as Diaz and Masvidal. They're not the kind of stars. They don't possess the same skill sets, so I don't see the fight going the same way. Yeah, I think it's a great fight, but I just don't think it has anything on the BMF fight.
I mean, okay, so there's two and there's two. This is a two-part answer. On the first part, look, you're right. I do have to agree with Fight Geek here, Jalen. I think that charisma wise, hype wise, the fight's just not in the same. It's not in the same universe.
Well, not only that, but you have to think of this is between Diaz and Masvidal, they have over 30 years of goodwill with the UFC or with the MMA audience. So they have been putting in 30 years of blood, sweat, and tears. That is why we're so invested in this. This is why we love that so much, because these are such proven commodities. A guy like Al has not really reached those heights, and a guy like Dan Hooker is just beginning to even scratch the surface of those heights. I mean, they both have a very long career as distinguished as a Nate Diaz,
Yeah.
So I know Al has beaten Jorge in the past, but I mean, as a star now and where we are in the current climate, I just don't see a lot of symmetry between those two fights.
I mean, I understand what Jalen's saying, though. I do think that the fight is going a little bit under the radar, frankly, and I do think it's a crackerjack of a fight. It's an amazing fireworks fight. It's going to be really competitive. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, in that way.
Well, I would say that this fight is much more likely to end in strikes than the Diaz Masvidal fight. So I mean, that Masvidal fight, you could see Diaz potentially getting his back and choking him out, or you could see Masvidal outpointing him in a boxing match potentially, or Nate outpointing him in a boxing match. There's a lot of different ways that could go. I don't think that. Maybe I'm just being too literal with the question. I just don't see stylistically the same kind of fights.
Okay. I do think you might have been being a little too literal with it, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's not on the same.
But thanks for the question, nonetheless.
I still think it's an exciting fight. I still think it's underground.
It's the co-main on an enormous card. It's going to be a great fight.
Okay, do you have a question or am I next?
Yeah, I got one from Quinn. And he says, how far do you think Patricio Pitbull would go in the 145 and 155 pound divisions in the UFC? He put on a clinic versus Archuleta, and I thought he looked absolutely fantastic. Hashtag AskSplitPod. Quinn, thanks for the question. Can I go first?
Please. I love that question.
I do too. I don't see Pitbull having as much success in 155 in the UFC as he obviously does in Bellator, and he would in 145. I think 155 is the greatest division in the history of mixed martial arts, the current landscape of the 155-pound division. So I think he would probably crack the top, maybe the top 15 in the UFC of the lightweight division.
Featherweight division. The disrespect is real.
Well, he's very small. If you looked at him versus Juan Archuleta, he looked like he was a 135-pounder. He's very small, and when you get to that level at the UFC, would you favor him versus Barbosa?
That would be. I would love that fight. Like that'd be a great fight.
Favor him versus Cowboy Cerrone?
No, I would not
favor him.
No.
Right. Would you favor him versus Kevin Lee?
No.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. He'd be a fringe top 15 lightweight, which is not bad considering he's arguably a bantamweight. And then at featherweight, I think it's pretty clear he would be a little better than Peter Yan potentially. So a top 3 featherweight, in my opinion, easily.
Wait. Peter Yan's
bantamweight. No, I'm sorry. I mean, I think he would beat.
Frankie Edgar, Zabit,
Frankie Edgar.
Korean Zombie.
He's not gonna beat
number 6.
He's gonna have a hard time with Korean Zombie. He's much taller.
Oh, I know. No, 7, Yair. 8, Jeremy Stevens.
I mean, Jeremy Stevens would be a hell of a fight with them, 2 little power punchers. Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be a top 7 or 8 featherweight for sure, and a top 15 lightweight in the UFC.
Okay, I'm gonna say he's gonna. I would say that he would be. Yeah, top 7 or 8 in featherweight. I agree with that completely. Lightweight, I'm going to say that you were being a little too harsh. I do think he makes it into the top 10. He just squeaks in.
Who does he beat in the top 10? Name a name. Paul Felder?
Anthony Pettis.
Anthony Pettis should not be ranked in the top 10 of lightweight.
He's ranked number 10.
That's blasphemy.
He's ranked number 10.
So. When's the last time he won a lightweight fight?
I'm just telling you the rankings, and I'm just answering the questions.
All right. So, yeah, I think he'd probably beat Anthony Pettis, but I don't believe Anthony Pettis is a top 15 lightweight anymore.
He's ranked 10, let alone 15.
Yeah, well, Connor's ranked 3.
True. Okay, I got one from Kenneth Robert. My boy, one of my very, very closest Twitter homies, Kenneth Robert at Mr. Tittle Wings.
Kenneth obviously changed his avatar, right?
Yes. That's yeah, he changed it to a guy named Genghis who's like missing. It's actually kind of dark. But sorry.
I'm really confused by seeing the different faces on here, so I wasn't sure if it was the same Kenneth or not.
No, it's the same guy. It's just that it's a picture of a stranger that's like missing that everyone misses. Sorry, it's kind of like a... Hopefully, Genghis, hopefully you're okay, guys. Hopefully Genghis is okay. So, Kenneth says, with so many fighters coming back from retirement to fight again, who do you guys want to see return from retirement to give it one last shot? Which retired fighter do you think would have the best chance at making a run at the title again, not named GSP?
Retired fighter. I got one for you. Gina Carano.
Ooh, good call.
I've always been interested to see what she would do with the modern era of fighters, especially if she would have like continued her training, because I think she was a pretty naturally gifted athlete. So that's the one off the top of my head.
And normally I don't get unprofessional. She's offensively beautiful. Like, she's so beautiful it offends me. I'm like,
well, that's why she doesn't have to get paid to punch and get punched anymore.
I'm literally offended by her attractiveness. So, I don't even know what that means, by the way. But
so are you just gonna agree with me on that one then?
No. Ready? All right, I'll give you guys an answer that you're not expecting. I know no one's gonna expect this one from me. Alexander Gustafsson.
Oh, why? The division's so good without him.
I know, and I don't even like him, but the truth is, I know that he can still win top fights there.
It's getting fewer and further between. I bet Ian Cutelaba finishes him.
Yeah, you think Ian Cutelaba finishes Alexander Gustafsson?
Based on what we saw versus John Jones, yeah, he was lifeless in that fight.
What about Lionheart? I mean, he obviously lost thoroughly, but he had moments.
What do you mean?
He got a knockdown.
A knockdown of John Jones?
Of Lionheart. When he got, when Lionheart retired him in Sweden.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what? I don't get what your point is.
I'm just saying that Lionheart's very good.
I said, we're not talking about Lionheart. We're talking about Gustafsson.
I'm trying to give Gustafsson credit.
So you're giving him credit by saying he got finished by Lionheart, who John completely whitewashed? I don't understand how you're giving him credit.
Yeah, that's correct. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, well, you answered the question. Let's keep it moving.
All right, keeping it moving, keeping it moving.
I got one right here queued up from Jokers LL.
Jokers LL. You know what? Real question. Funny little thing about Jokers LL. One time I forgot to tag him, and oh man, I haven't heard the end of it from him. So, homie, I'll remember.
And I will never forget to tag him as long as I live now. So, Jokers, you're attached to us from now on.
All right.
All right. Okay. Hashtag Ask Split Pod. Pod. What is your opinion on Scott Coker as a promoter? Do you have respect for him or think he's terrible at his job? He was a big part of why Strikeforce had to be bought out and makes ridiculous decisions in Bellator. Would Bellator be better off with someone else? Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think it. Look, without getting too much into my personal life, I spent many years working in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles, and I do know that people like Scott Coker have to answer to many masters, and that is a tough situation to be in. I think that what you're seeing right now is, Paramount Network clearly doesn't care about Bellator. That much is clear because
and they're contractually locked in for longer, so you're having this strange relationship.
Right.
Because if you follow it along, I believe Bellator signed with Paramount first. Paramount was tape delaying all their events, and they simultaneously signed a deal with DAZN. So they had to split their schedule, and that's why we get this weird tape delay, not tape delay, two different platforms. It's very confusing. But again, it's all so that they can try and fund their roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, just so you know, what Paramount Network felt they had to air while Bellator 227 was live, they felt they had to air 2.5 Men from about 7.5 years ago. So that tells you a lot about the priority level of Bellator for the Paramount Network.
All right, but we got to get back to Scott Coker. So, Scott.
I think Scott is. Look, do you want me to sit here and say Scott's doing a good job? How could I possibly do that, Fight Geek? How could I possibly do that?
You have to relatively. He may not be doing a great job.
He's doing a horrible job, but it's not all his fault.
He's arguably the third best MMA promoter in the world. So
third best? Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. But there's only 3 major promotions.
Well, before when we had Bjorn Rebney.
Well, that's true.
So, I mean, he's not the worst. I mean, you could be in worse hands. So when he says, should Bellator go with someone else? I think there's been some bumps with Scott Coker, 5000, but I still think that Scott Coker is about as good as you're going to get on a second or third level league like that. Because we've seen guys like Bjorn Rebney damn near run that organization into the ground. At least right now that organization has some vitality. The featherweight tournament is awesome.
The tournaments are great.
Yeah, and Bjorn Rebney was trying to do tournaments, but he's trying to do them the wrong way. So Coker comes in, implements some things. Yeah, he's a little wacky. I think that Coker has a very, old school, cheesy, martial arts vibe to him, where he's kind of I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of him in his,
I know what he looks like, of course.
Oh, well, back in the day, when he used to be a martial artist and he had, his mullet in the back and stuff. So you can kind of see where he comes from. I feel like he has a little bit of that cheesy, martial arts culture to him. And I think that kind of seeps into his promotion. But I think that's a good flavor to have when everything in the UFC is so stuffy. So,
yeah.
I don't think he's doing a bad job at all. I think he's working with what he has, and he's one of the best promoters in the world.
But this is what I want to know, Fikey. Okay, riddle me this, though. Last thing on it. Why at the end of 2019, there's only 3 months left in 2019, what is the excuse for not having live Bellator, at the very least, on the Bellator app? I need to know the excuse.
Well, the reason is because they have a television deal with Paramount, who I live in Arizona. They re-air that fight starting at 9 p.m. my time. So if they were to air that fight those fights on the Bellator app at 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the normal time slot is, I'm going to go to the app and I'm going to watch the fight there.
Correct.
Which means then I will not be watching it on Paramount Network on Saturday night, which is where they're trying to draw viewers because of the contractual agreements.
That's all nice. It's 2019. You can't have non-live sports.
I agree with you. I'm just explaining to you why they're doing it, in my opinion.
I mean, what were the ratings for that? What did they get? Did they get 20,000 households?
I really don't understand the metrics that they'd be working off of there, but I do know that they don't want to stream them live if they're supposed to be aired on Paramount on tape delay, because you'll watch them live and then you'll never go to Paramount.
Well, Scott's got to push back on Paramount Network. He's got to push back.
Well, it's going to be like this until that contract expires, period. End of story. They're not going to renegotiate the contract in the middle of it. It's going to be like this until it's not.
Yeah, what a disaster. What a tire fire.
It has not made it convenient to grow with the brand. Let's just put it that way.
Yep, totally agree. Okay, I've got one from Juice from Fighting With Myself podcast. Juice, what up? He says, since Costa is a bitch and would never sign to fight Cannonier for a true #1 contenders fight, who should Cannonier fight next? And first of all, Juice, I completely agree. Costa is a total bitch.
Costa should not have to fight anyone. He just went through the ringer, beat Yoel Romero. He's next in line for the winner of the Whitaker versus Izzy match. 100%. He's an undefeated Greek god. That's the guy you got to put in the title fight.
An undefeated Greek god? I thought you have a wife, Fight Geek.
What I'm saying is...
Hey, guys, Fight Geek just called Paulo Costa an undefeated Greek god.
For marketing purposes.
Why is your face all red? Why are you sweating? Can you relax? Fight Geek. All right, I'm just being a jerk. Okay, so tell us more about how much you love Costa.
I just think that he has truly earned a chance to fight for the title next. I believe he's the most marketable guy in the division, and if Israel Adesanya is undefeated versus Paulo Costa, who's undefeated, for a true title fight, that is as good as it gets for the UFC.
What if Whitaker wins, though? That's highly possible.
Well, if Whitaker wins, then he'll get to prove it again versus Costa.
Yeah, Whitaker has a little
murderer's row
waiting for him, don't he?
No, but I think Cannonier fighting Yoel Romero is the absolute no-brainer.
Oh, see? We disagree again. Cannonier should fight the Till Gastelum winner.
Till doesn't even deserve that fight.
If he beats Gastelum, he do.
I guess. I don't know. That fight doesn't do anything for me yet.
What?
Literally nothing.
What?
I got way too much to worry about before I get into that fight.
Okay. All right.
So I think Yoel Romero's the no-brainer fight for Cannonier as a huge test. Yoel Romero's never technically lost a fight. They're always razor sharp split decision losses. It's not like we've seen someone come in and run through Yoel Romero and put him in his place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Yoel's almost a winner coming out of that Costa fight in a way because he looked really, really good.
Yep.
So, I could see that fight making a ton of sense. And it really would be to see who's kind of the third or fourth guy in that division.
Yep. Totally agree. Okay, really quick. Sorry, one more from Jalen Ware. Love the enthusiasm. Second question. Jalen says, if Adesanya finishes Whitaker or beats him very decisively, where would you rank him on the pound-for-pound UFC list? Why don't you go first?
Off the top of my head, somewhere 7 to 12.
That's really high. I was going to say 12 to 15.
Well, Whitaker, in my opinion, is probably the 6th, 7th, or 8th best pound fighter in the world. So if Izzy were to come and beat him, he would almost replace him in that spot or be in that area, in my opinion.
Whitaker's ranked 9 on the pound-for-pound list.
Which
is disrespectful.
He should be 6, 7, or 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay.
So if he'll be a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter for sure if he beats Robert Whitaker.
Yeah, I have to agree with that the more I think about it. Okay, this is from Mr. B. Mr. B. I love Mr. B. Hashtag AskSplitPod. 2 questions. 1, what's next for Megan Anderson if she wins this weekend? 2, do you think Darian Caldwell's new approach in fights will help him get past Adam Boric in the next round?
Interesting. I'm gonna say Megan Anderson. I don't even know. There's only 3 girls I know in that whole division. So,
Yeah.
there's Felicia Spencer, Amanda Nunes, and Megan Anderson. So I assume she's going to be going back down to 135, or maybe a rematch with Felicia Spencer. I don't even know of another option.
I don't, Megan is very tall. I don't know that she can make 35. Or she did, but...
Yeah, she made 35 once. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not ideal.
Right, right. I feel like you kind of do the Spencer rematch, and then if she loses
But why would Spencer want to do that?
She wouldn't. She wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it's because women's featherweight is what it is.
Yeah, it's horrible. So, yeah, I'd say probably a rematch with Spencer. If she wins, she's not getting a title fight. Maybe she does. If she were to, I mean, she can't get a title fight winning this fight. So.
Yeah, and then second question, do you think Darian Caldwell's new approach will help him get past Adam Boric? And I think what he's referring to is Caldwell's just been a lot, I mean, you tell me what you think. Caldwell's been like a lot more kind of defensive and boring and just not as flashy.
Yeah, well, I don't remember him ever being super flashy. He's a wrestler, so.
Nah, but he used to get, I feel like he used to get more finishes, used to go for more. He's safe.
Yeah. I mean, he lost to Horiguchi and some good guys. It's not like he's, been exposed or anything. He lost a couple of tough fights.
That's true.
I do expect Boric to win this fight. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on Boric. I think he's that much better of a striker, and everything I've seen from Boric is he's very composed and he knows how to capitalize on openings, and he's a finisher. Where, like you said, Caldwell's more defensive. I haven't seen a whole lot of offensive output from him. I'm not overly impressed with his footwork and his striking, whereas Boric I really am. So I think that's a classic case of a defensive wrestler going up against an offensive striker. So that's, classic mixed martial arts there.
Yeah, and I have to agree. So, to answer your question, Mr. B, no, I actually do not.
All right. I got another one queued up here from Tristan Evans.
Tristan, what up?
He says, better fight, Killer Gorilla versus Yoel or the loser from this weekend. So he's saying Cannonier, right?
Yeah.
Better fight, him versus Yoel or the loser of Izzy versus Whitaker?
Versus Cannonier?
Yeah, I actually like that. So Costa would get the winner and Cannonier gets the loser.
Oh, yeah, that's... Actually, I might like that more.
Yeah, I kind of like that more, too. That's a good call.
Yeah, very well done, Tristan. Very good call.
Like that one a lot. All right, scrolling through. Hectic One. Did we already call his out?
I don't think so. No, he had a great one.
All right, I got his. It says, is Kevin Lee proving Raging Al's point that his brain is broken by possibly dropping back down to lightweight to fight Gregor at UFC 244?
Can I take this one?
Absolutely.
Okay. No, I don't think that Kevin is at all being stupid. I think this is actually a great fight for Kevin Lee, and here is why. Kevin Lee knows how to win 3-round fights. 5-round fights, not so much. 3-round fights, oh yeah. Gregor is going to have a lot of trouble with this being only 15 minutes long. I think Kevin's going to edge it out.
Isn't Gregor undefeated?
Didn't Gregor literally watch Showtime Pettis fight at welterweight and break his foot and call him out?
You're saying that Kevin Lee has a tendency to pull out 3-round fights.
Correct.
Yet Gregor Gillespie has never fought for a belt, and he's undefeated in 3-round fights.
Tell me the giant names that Gregor has destroyed.
Is he undefeated in 3-round fights or not?
Yeah, tell me the big people. Tell me the big scalps. Ooh, Yancy Medeiros. Oh.
Tell me the big scalps that Kevin Lee has.
Edson Barboza.
Oh, the guy Gaethje knocked out in one punch. The guy who
Edson's very good.
Oh, when it works to your argument, right?
He fought Tony Tough. He beat he humiliated Michael Chiesa. I mean, humiliated.
Michael Chiesa, come on.
I know. Okay, I'm grasping at straws here.
All right, let's keep that one moving.
Okay. All right, moving on. Oh,
But for the record, Kevin Lee moving up to 170, losing a fight, and then moving back down to 150 and announcing his triumphant return is none of it makes sense. Yes, I think taking this fight shows his brain is broken, in my opinion. I don't see him taking this fight.
wait, it's official.
No, I know. I don't see him taking the
Oh,
victory.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I do.
Right.
Okay. Wait, did we answer Pat Tobin?
Yes, that was the first
If
one.
DC
believe,
manages
right?
to beat, no, I don't think so.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, he said if DC manages to beat Stipe and does in fact retire, who fights after that for the vacant title? The easy answer is Francis versus Stipe. But is that as sellable if Stipe was coming off a loss? Is there any other fight you could make for the title outside of Jones moving up? Great question.
Jones versus Francis. See it.
I feel like this Lewis versus Ivanov fight could have implications.
Ugh. Black Beast versus Francis?
Two.
Ew. I don't think they would ever book that again.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally no, but it's such a great question, Pat, because
It's a tough question.
there's literally no one.
Not at this point. But isn't there rumors of Rumble Johnson coming back?
Yes, there's big rumors of Rumble coming back, but I mean,
So could you imagine Rumble versus Francis for the vacant heavyweight title? Even though Rumble absolutely 100% doesn't deserve to walk into a heavyweight title fight.
is there a chance that he would actually be given a title fight off of nothing?
I don't know. I doubt it.
You can't do that.
For marketing purposes, though, they could sell the two hardest hitters in UFC history facing off against each other.
Yeah, that'd be Rumble's execution date, by the way. Ngannou would take his head right off, but that's okay.
So, all right, I got one from Kairos MMA on YouTube.
Kairos!
All right, he's got 3 questions. Actually, 2. Actually, 1.
Yeah,
Should fighters...
They were funny, but yeah, go ahead.
Should fighters 40 years old be allowed to continue competing? Yes or no?
Yes, because DC was, I believe, the double champion at 40 years old. Was he not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have
100%.
Yeah, we have like at least 15 to 20 case studies on fighters who were very successful into their 40s.
Look
There's
at Randy
some still
Couture
going today. Yeah, Randy Couture. I mean, even guys like, Mark Hunt had relatives, a couple wins in his 40s. I mean, Dan Henderson was 46. Tito's in his 40s. He's still making money. So, I mean, yeah, if you're healthy enough and you can get cleared and you still want to fight, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. Chael. Yep.
Yeah. So, yes.
All right.
We're
not naming a murderer's row of 40-year-olds, but I think they should be allowed to fight.
Wait, hang on. I just want to quickly try to attempt. Why don't people untag from their responses? Because Twitter's stupid and they don't. Kairos. That's why. 2. Which release is more important, Bobby Shmurda or 6ix9ine? Are you gonna who's gonna be the first to admit that I have no idea what he's talking about?
Well,
does that show our age? Does that show our age? No,
it makes me like you more, though.
I don't. Yeah, Kairos. I'm sure that's a very cool reference. I don't know what you're talking about. Are those 2 rappers? I mean,
There is, and there's only one answer, and it's Bobby. Nobody cares about 6ix9ine.
Oh, 6ix9ine's that guy. He's always in the memes because he's in jail.
He's snitching. Yeah.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. Okay. I get it. See,
we're so buried in MMA content, we don't get to pop culture that often.
Exactly.
Sorry, you'll have to keep us filled in.
Okay. This is from Blue Corner, Red Corner, and what I like about Blue Corner, Red Corner is you gave us a shout out a few days ago, Blue Corner, Red Corner, and I appreciate that, and I remember that. Thank you, dog. He says,
appreciate it.
How do you think Jacare and Weidman will do at 205? Both have legendary careers as middleweights, but how do you think they will perform against the top talent at light heavyweight?
I think they'll both have mixed results. I think they'll beat some guys, but I think they're going to have a very hard time getting to the top. and obviously winning the belt from John. I don't see either of them doing that.
They both lose to Lionheart, in my opinion.
I don't think Jacare loses to Lionheart at 205. I think Jacare is going to be very dense. He's a big-time power puncher, extremely hard to finish. I think Jacare will probably be the best of the bunch at 205. I think Chris Weidman's so slow. I think that's his problem. He's very hittable, where at least Jacare is like, I mean, that dude's like a cinder block.
Yeah, why is Weidman so slow? Like, I know that might be dumb. Like, why? He's so slow. Why?
He's so lumbering. I'm not sure. I really don't know. When he was younger, he was a little quicker, but as he's aged, he's gotten so deliberate and so lumbering. He really struggled at 185. Maybe it'll look better at 205, but you look at some of these young, athletic, fast twitch, powerful guys at 205, it worries me for him.
Yep. So. Okay, this is from Kev C918. What are your thoughts about Vanderlei Silva getting signed by Bare Knuckle Boxing and makes him look disgusting for signing him after all the knockouts he's suffered? Thank you and keep up the awesome work. Thank you, Kev.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. I think Vanderlei has self-proclaimed that he has CTE. So when someone says things like that, the last thing you want them to be doing is bare knuckle boxing. So, yeah, it sounds like a horrible idea in my opinion. You know, Vanderlei, over the years, nobody's entertained quite like Vanderlei. He's taken a metric ton of damage over his career. He's been in war after war after war. Last thing we want to see is a 40-year-old Vanderlei getting knocked out in bare knuckle, in my opinion.
No, I agree. So I agree, but here's the problem. We are going to be seeing more and more of this, not less and less of this. There's going to be more and more fighters over the hill who probably have CTE getting signed to bare knuckle. I mean, let's be real.
Well, if you just got to be careful with the information you leak out. If that's the career choices you're going to continue to make. You can't come out, have a story on the fact that you are suicidal, depressed, and think you have CTE, and then 60 days later sign a contract for bare-knuckle fighting. If that's what your reality is and you want to fight, I don't think it's probably the smartest thing to leak that information to the masses. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would not be the smartest move.
Right, because then it just amplifies the concern. You know, if you're going to do it regardless, more power to you. If you're cleared by the athletic commission, and that's your right to fight. But I wouldn't be painting a picture as a damaged man and then trying to make money off fighting.
Yep, totally agree. All right, quickly from Jacob Powers, he said #AskSplitPod. Everyone's getting so much better about the hashtag. Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, did you notice that? Like, almost everyone did it. Who do you think wins between Colby and Kamaru, and how? So we're gonna break that down obviously later in the year. But Fight Geek, I don't know. Can we make quick predictions because it's far enough out?
Yeah, I got Kamaru Usman
via decision.
I think I would take Usman via a later round stoppage, maybe 5th round stoppage.
Fascinating. I think Kamaru will dominate the first 2 rounds before his cardio begins to slip ever so slightly. Colby takes over and wins a unanimous decision 3-2 with his volume striking.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Got one here from Derek Lewis. Hot balls. Pixie dust.
Pixie! I love Pixie.
So we've already covered this, but who should Cannonier face and why? I think we said the loser of Whitaker Izzy or Yoel makes all the sense in the world.
And you don't like it, but I like the Till Gastelum winner.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one, but any of those matchups work.
Wait, why? Why are you so against that, by the way? I'm just curious. Why?
I'm still mad that Till, off of 2 knockouts at welterweight, gets to come up to middleweight and fight a guy who's ranked number 3. I hate it.
I know, but it's kind of cool. Like, he's got some cojones. Like,
it's not cool if he gets stopped by Kelvin Gastelum and his career is sent back to the very beginning.
I know, but you got to respect him going all in like that. Play big or go home.
I never. It's never been like a lack of respect. It's just the fact that I think he doesn't deserve that fight.
Yeah, true.
B, it's not a smart decision for him.
Yeah.
It's just not.
But if he wins, it'll be quite a.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he wins, it's an enormous win. If he loses, it's like his career is in shambles.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, really quick from Moogie World. Which title fight should we have in January? I think it's between lightweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. For the other champions, it would be too soon. #AskSplitPod. Moogie World, my first thoughts really quickly are, I'm not so sure about that. First of all, we don't know the pay-per-view schedule, and yes, I've looked into it because I'm a weirdo. And we don't have the pay-per-view schedule yet for 2020. There's a chance there won't be a pay-per-view till early February. But I think that Henry Cejudo has got to be coming back soon. No?
Cejudo, Joseph Benavidez.
And then one more. There's got to be one more on top of that, I think. I don't know if that's enough to headline a pay-per-view.
No, but I mean, by that time, we'll have seen, I mean, you never know. Khabib Tony?
Yeah.
Khabib GSP? I mean, I just saw a GSP Instagram post today. And he is looking thin. Thin.
I will have no choice but to completely turn on GSP if he gets that fight. I mean, just completely.
Why? At that point, you just root for GSP to win, don't you?
So he's being gifted not one BS title shot, but 2 out of nowhere, completely undeserved title shots.
But I think this is even bigger than the title shot because George St. Pierre versus Khabib arguably could decide who the true GOAT of the sport is.
At 155, that's not even a good fight, Fight Geek. Khabib will kill him. Kill him.
You don't know that.
At 155, I do.
You don't know that.
Maybe not a 170. No, maybe not a 170.
You don't know that. If GSP comes back and beats Khabib at 155, he's unequivocally the greatest fighter to ever live.
He's not going to. He's going to get mauled. I feel very confident in that.
I don't feel confident in that at all. I mean, obviously I don't want to see that fight before the Tony fight, but if that fight is out there someday, I think it still makes all the sense in the world historically.
Okay.
I think that's it, right?
Wait. Really quick, LK at Gorilla Watch, do you think Izzy is overlooking Robert and the people Robert has beaten? That's the last one, I think.
I do not think he's overlooking. I think he's trying to play mind games. I think he's digging. I think he's pulling his straws. I think he'll say whatever he can to get Robert flustered, and I just don't think it's working.
Totally agree. All right, guys, that's it.
Hold on. I have one more from our Instagram page. Yeah, it's actually from Fighting With Myself podcast and Juice.
You're giving Juice a second question? Man, fuck Juice. No, I'm just kidding, Juice. I'm just kidding.
All right, he says, I would also like to put in a request that each of you say one complimentary thing to each other. So kind of you, Juice. Always promoting positivity.
What is this, like the 2016 election? Like, didn't they make you? They do that at the end of those like debates? What is this?
I'll say that your passion for the sport is infectious, Phil.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will say, Fight Geek, that your knowledge of the sport is very, very impressive and leaves me in awe. How about that?
In awe. Awesome.
Well, I could have gone so much meaner and funnier. I feel like an opportunity was missed, but that caught me up by surprise. So,
well, we're pushing 2 hours again, so.
All right. So before I hand it off to Fight Geek, guys, quick reminder: we are taking 1 week off next week. We are so sorry. It is all Fight Geek's fault. He's going on a vacation like a wimp. Blame him. Send him hate mail. It would amuse me. We're so sorry. We're going to be back the week after next. And if you enjoyed the podcast, guys, if you did, if you could really quickly just hop on iTunes, give us a 5-star review, boy, would we appreciate it. Fight Geek, take it away, baby!
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at The Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. It's 4 words, The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Peace.
Peace.